We've all been through something that would give us adequate justification for being a lifetime victim. Or we could say we now have adequate motivation to become a victor. I used to stutter as a kid. I grew up poor. I was sexually abused as a kid. My best friend was killed when I was in college. My wife had a late-term miscarriage. My son was born blind. My dad died from Lou Gehrig's disease. And those are not my justifications or my excuses. We could all check the victim box, or we could check the box that says victor. Today's guest grew up in a home where he was raised by an alcoholic father, and yet he became the #1 public relations consultant of all time. Today's guest grew up severely dyslexic and was called dumb, yet he became a multiple-time New York Times best-selling author. Today's guest grew up in New York, yet he moved to California, where he knew no one, and he went on to become the public relations consultant of choice for Nike, for Prince, for President Bush, for Michael Jackson, for Nancy Kerrigan, for Barbra Streisand, for 58 Academy Award winners, 38 Grammy Award winners, and 43 New York Times best-selling authors. And so we had the honor of having Michael Levine attend our last in-person Thrivetime show workshop. And when he spoke about why you need to decide whether you want to become a victim or a victor, I was taking notes, I was wowed by his intensity, and I was making sure that our editors were editing a few of the colorful metaphors and descriptive four-letter words that he was saying during his presentation. And so we edited the show up so that it is now family-friendly. And now, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce to you my epic friend and my PR consultant of choice, Mr. Michael Levine.
Michael Levine, folks, let's hear it for him.
Hello. Now, let's see. I want to make sure I can move around a little bit. Can you hear me okay? How are you? Good. It's good to see you. I really do want to move around a little bit and visit with you. I've already met some of you. I have never seen a place like this in my life. It's really fun. And I have never been to Tulsa before. It's cold here. Wow. I'm from California. This is cold. Anyway, I am really thrilled to be here. Thank you, Clay.
I am excited to have Michael here. One, because we brought him to Tulsa, and he's like, Tulsa, is that a place?
Yeah. Is this guy an original or what? Will you applaud an original? I mean, is this guy an original? Now, before I begin, I want to ask you a question. Now, you going to be straight with me or not? You're going to tell me the truth? Because, I want to know you. I want you to know me. Is there anyone, I've never been to Tulsa before, and I have, certain images in my mind and all that from California. I was born in New York. And is there anyone here, and feel free to say if you are, is there anyone here that's off-put, offended, off-put by what might be referred to as rough language? Anyone here? Oh, yeah. Now, come on, tell me. Colorful language. Hush up.
I'm sorry, everybody, in advance.
No? Okay, you all right? All right. That's cool, because if you were, that's all right, too. I used to get a bell sometimes. Instead of cursing, I'd hit the bell, but that's all right. Anyway, listen, let me start with a confession. I'm going to offer you a confession. I fell into this public speaking business by accident. I had no training of any kind, pretty much like all the other things I've done in my life. I fell into it by accident. I had no training. And so if I had gone to some kind of Dale Carnegie course, I guess I would have been told to begin today with a story. And so I will. And I figured, what kind of story can I tell my friends? Does this move out more? Is there any?
I think you might have hit the max capacity.
I hit the max.
I think you hit the maximum capacity.
If somebody.
We have a crack squad of mic extension team members. We can make it happen for you. Marshall's on it. The tallest man in the world is going to help you.
All right. So I'm going to begin with a story, and I figure, what story can I tell my friends in Tulsa? What story? And I'm going to tell you a story because I'm from Hollywood. I'm going to tell you a story about Hollywood. Okay? Now, it's a story about old Hollywood. Old Hollywood. You're too young to remember this. All right. Does anybody here old enough to know or remember the name of the literary agent Swifty Lazar? Anybody here know who Swifty Lazar? Swifty Lazar. You do? All right. Son, who's Swifty Lazar? The biggest literary agent of all time. Now, he passed away years ago, and he was real small, and he had big glasses, but he was the biggest literary agent in the history of Hollywood. And son of a... He spent 6 years of his life signing his biggest client. 6 years to sign his biggest client. Cary Grant. Now, you don't even know who Cary Grant is. Who knows who Cary Grant is? Let me tell you who Cary Grant is, darling. Cary Grant would be George Clooney times 1,000. Yes? Yes, say yes. Don't make me raise my voice. Now, Cary Grant, he signs his biggest client of all time. There's no email then. So he comes into the office, Cary Grant, in his office, signing his client 6 years, signing his contract. He signs his contract. Now, Cary Grant is getting ready to leave the office. Leave the office. And he puts his hand on the door, right, to leave, facing that way. And he says, Mr. Lazar, before I leave, I have one final question. Are you Jewish? And Swifty Lazar was reported to have said, not necessarily. Not necessarily. I guess he wanted that contract. Anyway, as I told you, I had an odd journey to get here today. I was born and raised 2.5 miles north of Ground Zero. Okay? I was born and raised 2.5 miles north of Ground Zero. I am one of the few living Americans that watched the World Trade Center be built twice. And I came from a bad home. I had an alcoholic parent. How many of you have ever either known someone or struggled with that kind of family situation? Raise your hand. It's not an easy deal. It's not an easy deal. You know that. Now, I had another problem. I had a disability that is better known today than it was 40 years ago. I had the disability called dyslexia. Anybody here know what that is? You know what it is? Raise your hand if you know what it is. A lot of you do. But you see, 40 years ago, it was a different deal. We had a different word for dyslexia then. 40 years ago, son, can I tell you what it was called? Dumb. Did you hear me? Okay. See, 40 years ago, we had a different word for it. It's called dumb. So, with an alcoholic parent and dyslexia, I was a lousy student. I barely graduated high school. Barely graduated high school. Now I'm 17, I'm out of the house. I got no money, I got no job, I got no education, I got no parenting. I'm scared and I'm skinny, and I got dyslexia. See, that's what's called, darling, bad cards. See? And isn't that something, friends? How your life goes is in large part how you play your cards. Isn't that something? See, some people get bad cards and play them well. Some people get good cards and play them bad. And a lot of people get medium cards and play them medium. See, if you're born on third base, you didn't hit a triple, son. See? You hear me? Don't make me raise my voice. So, now, I'm 17, I'm scared and I'm skinny. And I got no money, no job, no education, no parenting. And I got dyslexia. So, I had two passions all my life. I just talked to a 17-year-old kid here. I said, do you know what you like? He says, no, I don't know yet. That's okay. But I knew I was interested in two things. As a young person, I was interested in two things all my life. Why? I don't know. I just was. And I'll tell you how to figure out what you're interested in if you care. But I was interested in two things. I was interested in politics, and I was interested in the entertainment industry. Politics and the entertainment industry. Now, I'm scared and skinny, and I'm 17, and I'm thinking, what do I do? What do I do? I'm interested in politics. I'm interested in entertainment. And I said, you know what? You know what? I think Washington is just Hollywood for ugly folks. I'm going to L.A. where the pretty people are. How's that? Darling, I just look stupid. I just look stupid, see? I'm going out where the pretty people are. So I went out there and I met through a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend, and so much of life is proximity. You did a big thing today. See, you don't even realize you did a big thing. It's called showing up. Showing up. So through a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend, I meet a woman who was working at Paramount Pictures. Now, at that time, in the middle 70s, there weren't a lot of women working at Paramount Pictures other than secretaries. That's interesting. Change. So I meet a woman, I say, what do you do? And she says, well, I'm a publicist. I said, that sounds cool. What's that? She says, well, I work at Paramount Pictures. I'm a publicist. I said, what do you do all day? She said, what do I do all day? I said, yes, what do you do all day? I don't know what a publicist is or does. And she says, well, what I do all day? Oh, I basically bullshit on the phone. I said, I can do that. I can do that. And I decided I wanted to be a
publicist.
Because I could do that. See, I can't do much else. So off I go. Now I start a PR firm. Here's the problem. I don't know what PR is. See, that's a problem. Isn't that something? But if you're motivated, you figure it out. See? If you're motivated, now Clay tells you you gotta have a break down before you have a
Breakthrough.
Now, why is that? And I'm gonna tell you, and if you got half a brain, you write it down. Here's why Clay's right. Write it down. Because in the end, human beings respect wisdom, but obey pain. They respect wisdom, but obey pain. Okay? Isn't that something? Why did God design the world that way? I don't know. I'm going to ask him. Right along with, why did you make celery, cheesecake fattening, and celery naan? See, I'm asking that too. All right. So, off I go. And you know, the whole deal is, I told my friend Jonathan at dinner last night, it's a 4-step ladder, isn't it? 4 steps. The first step, this is how I did. How'd you do it? So he said, how'd you get your first client? Come on. Just look at, tell me how you did it. I'm buying you dinner. How'd you do it? I said, I'm going to tell you how, but you're not going to like the answer. He said, well, no, you tell me. Come on, tell me. I said, I'm going to tell you, but you're not going to like the answer. He said, all right, tell me. I said, all right, here's how I did it. You want me to tell you how I did it? Okay, I'm going to tell you how I did it. You're not going to like the answer. All right, here's how I did it. Ready? Write it down. Will you write it for me? Thanks. Here's how I did it. Listen carefully, please. Somehow. See, if you want something bad enough, you'll do it. How will you do it? Somehow. See, you'll find a way. Through the front door, the back door, the side door, the chimney. Ask a mother of a sick kid how she did it. Okay? Now listen to the 4-step. See, it's 4 steps. And this is how I did it. So step 1 is called work for free. See, very few people will turn you down if you offer to work for free. See, work for free. Now, in that first step, remember, you lose, and all your jack friends at Burger King for 10 an hour are winning. So in step 1, you lose, they win. See how it is? But if you hang in there, you go up to step 2. Now let me tell you about step 2. Step 2 is you work below market, 5 an hour. They work 10. See, in step 2, you lose, they win. See, the Burger King gang still got you beat on step 2. See? You with me? Hang in. It's going to get better. On step 3, you work for market, they work for market. It's 10-10. That's called a tie. See, you finally caught the Burger King gang. See? Now it's a tie. And what happens on step 4? They work for 10, and what happens to you? You work for 1,000, see? Takes 40 hours to make a living, 40 hours to make a fortune. Now, what's 40 plus 40? Nah, see, you didn't like that. There's got to be a shortcut. No. What's wrong with you? By the way, who taught you to look for one? Who sold you on that plan? The same jack that told you not to carry a business card? Come on. You're too smart for that stuff. All right. So I start a PR firm. Now I get lucky and I work hard and I'm working 90 hours a week and all the rest. And because I'm not very talented, but I work hard. See? And I say yes a lot in the beginning. And so this PR firm grows to one of the 3 largest entertainment PR firms in the country. And I start representing a lot of very, very, very famous people. And I've represented Michael Jackson and Charlton Heston and Barbra Streisand and David Bowie and Prince and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Michael Fox and Demi Moore and Sandra Bullock and Cameron Diaz and George Carlin and Joan Rivers and Suzanne Summers and Bill O'Reilly and hundreds and hundreds of other big celebrities. I've given advice to 3 U.S. presidents, including one who just passed away. I've given advice to 3 U.S. presidents, both political parties. So that means I'm a hooker. See, I'm a hooker. You got it? Both parties. How's that? You didn't know I was a hooker, did you? Makes you like me better. I know. Easy. All right, so now I start to get obsessed with a question. As I'm representing these big, big stars, huge stars, I start getting obsessed with a question. And this question that obsessed me has obsessed me for 35 years. And it is really why I came today, to share the question and my answer. It obsessed me. I cannot tell you why it obsessed me, but it obsessed me. And the question was there something that these super successful people knew that we mere mortals did not know, or was their success merely luck, right place, right time? Were the Beatles just in the right place at the right time? Or was there something they knew that mere mortals like myself did not know? And if there was something, was the something transferable? Was the something transferable if there was something? Now remember, I didn't get good cards. So I was real invested in this question, because if there wasn't something and it wasn't transferable, then I'm See? Because I didn't get good cards. But if there was something, and it was transferable, then maybe I could borrow it, which is a polite word for steal it. Steal it, see? So, off I go and I start asking the question, is there something that Oprah Winfrey and Bill Clinton have in common except a lot of dough? Is there something that Michael Jordan has in common with Bill Gates, except they got a lot of dough? Is there something? And at first, it didn't seem that there was. So it seems like I'm But I stuck with the question because I was obsessed by it. And I asked the question again and again and again for a long period of time. Not a week, not a month, not a year, not a few years. Over and over again for years. And you know, the funniest thing happened. After a few years, I thought I saw in the distance, in the desert of my mind, a little green, a little patch of green. Now maybe it's a mirage. Maybe I'm crazy. She thinks I'm crazy. But I stuck with it. And I came to conclude that over time, there were 3 qualities present in all super successful people, 100 times out of 100. Now listen to me carefully, please. I said super successful. Friends, if you're sitting here today, all polite, looking good, smelling good, and you're just interested in success, not super success, just success, you don't need to write down a thing. You can go to sleep for the rest of the whole deal. You don't need to write down anything because you're gonna be successful without a word. I'm telling you, you are. I give you my guarantee. Why? Why do you say, thank you, I'm going to be successful? Yes, you're going to be successful. Without a word, you don't need to write down a thing. Well, how can you tell me that, Michael? That's such good news, but how could you tell me that? Well, in large part because, what's your name, darling? Gina? Because, Gina, you were fortunate enough to be born into a civilization at exactly the moment in human history in which your competition is overwhelmingly stupid and lazy. See, Gina, you don't got to do much to be successful today except show up sober. Because your competition is
Norma.
Stupid and lazy. Overwhelmingly. I'm just saying. That's good news for you. But if you say, wait, hold it. I didn't come here to come for I didn't want to fly in coach. I want to go to the first class deal. I don't want to know about the success plan. I want to know about the super success plan. Well, if that's your interest, my best counsel to you over the next few minutes is start writing. Start writing. All super successful people had 3 qualities present 100 times out of 100. Maybe you didn't hear me. All super successful people. Anyone that you venerate, alive or dead, had 3 qualities present 100 times out of 100. Natural law. Number 1, and I'm going to try to do it for you in a memorable way so you can remember it. We'll call them 3 magic O's. What do you say, 3 O's? Okay, 3 O's. Here we go. 1, obsession. An obsession. They had something that I refer to as an obsession, which is analogous to a burning maniacal rage, as if your life depended on it. Did you hear me, or do you need me to raise my voice, darling? I said an obsession, a burning maniacal rage, as if your life depended on it. Yes? Now listen to me. How are you in the back? Listen to me. It wasn't ambition. Guys, think about this. Close your eyes if you choose. You all know a bunch of ambitious folks, friends of yours, that can't find their way out of a burning building. But they're ambitious. It's not ambition, it's something deeper, more primal, more intense. It's obsession, a burning, maniacal rage, as if your life depended on it. Number 2, they had an optimism, but it was the most unusual version of optimism. It was not naive, like you watch this great documentary about Mr. Rogers, what comes around goes around, and all that stuff. It wasn't that kind of optimism, friends. It was a different one. And it was an optimism. Well, first of all, how many of you understand the concept or feel you have a modest understanding of the concept of paradox? Paradox. Raise your hand if you feel like you're modest. Okay, son, what's paradox? Contradictory statement. Okay. Love is beautiful, but love is painful. Love is joyful. Love is painful. So this optimism that our super successful friends had was paradoxical. It was an optimism. Now write this down. I can't, I'll come back there if I have to. Yeah. It was an optimism created after a militant need. It was an optimism created after a militant need. Militant need could almost be like an addiction. It was an optimism born after a militant need to face the brutal facts. And here, my dear friends, were the two brutal facts that our super successful friends discovered when they peered into the face of destiny. 1, the game is not easy. The game is not easy. 2, the game is not fair. The game is not easy, and the game is not fair. So do me a favor. Don't waste any of your precious time on this earth complaining about that a lot. That's a bad plan. See, don't sign up for that class, darling. When somebody says to you, I don't think the game is easy, let's complain about it. Say, I'm not signing up for that class. Don't sign up for that class. Hey, you know what, Mary? I don't think the game is fair. I know, you're right, but I'm not signing up for that class. Don't. That's a bad class. You don't have time for that class. That's for the other folks. But our super successful friends came to conclude, though the game is not easy, and though the game is not fair, with enough burning maniacal rage, the game is winnable, though not easy and though not fair. The game is winnable, though not easy and though not fair. Optimism. Greatest thing ever said to, I try real hard. I've known a lot of famous people. I don't know how the that happened to me, but I did, and I try real hard. And I'm not perfect at it, but I try hard not to name drop too much in my talks, because that's cheating. But the smartest thing ever said to me on the topic of optimism was said to me by General Colin Powell in only 6 words. Now, pretty good. Profundity in 6 words. That's not bad. So he said, and I don't count my name as one of the words. See, I took that out. He said, Michael, he's a big general. He said, Michael, by the way, try to be profound in 6 words. Try it sometime. He said, Michael, Perpetual optimism is a force multiplier. Look at me, please. Perpetual optimism is a force multiplier. So he was a military general, and what that means in English is this. If you take 10 men, or women, and you put them in a military environment, and you saturate them with optimism, those 10 men can fight with a force of 50. Those 10 can fight with the force of 50. If you take those same 10 men or women and you put them in the same environment and you saturate them with negativity, those 10 men can't fight with the force of 2. See, this is what's got me so concerned about our friends in the minority community. From the moment they take their first breath of air, they're told, you can't, you're a victim, you're a victim, you're a victim. Now, son, if you want to be broke in America, or darling, if you want to be broke in America, I can tell you how to do it. It's real easy. All you got to do is think like a victim. And I promise you, your ass will be broke in America. Son, if you want to be broke in America, all you got to do is go home and think like a victim. You'll be broke. I promise you. Don't worry about it. I promise you, 100%. If you said to me, Michael, which would you prefer, a young African-American kid or Hispanic kid? Smoke crack cocaine or inhale daily belief of victimhood? I say, can I think about it? Can I think about it for a while? I don't know. I'm not sure. Let me think about it. Okay. Now, the last is the last O. So the first O is obsession. The second O is optimism. But it's an unusual, paradoxical version of optimism. And now the third is called obligation. All super successful people had an unnatural commitment to their word, particularly to themselves. Impeccable with their word, particularly to themselves. Let me tell you something I noticed, and maybe you have too, if you think about it. Here's what super successful people didn't say. Most folks say, you know, next year I'm going to lose some weight. Next year I'm going to lose some weight. That's what most folks say. Super successful people say 12 pounds, April 17th. 12 pounds. And you know what they do? They tell folks. And they almost always write them. You see all these on the wall? That stuff is powerful, see? Because that's a pledge now. See? Everybody can see it. Isn't that something? 12 pounds, April 17th, son. See? Written. They don't say I'm going to lose some weight. Because if you say I'm going to lose some weight next year, how's that work out? Generally not as good, right? All people were impeccable with their word, particularly to themselves. They had a plan, almost always written. See? What kind of jack goes on a car trip without a map? Tell me about that. They have, and by the way, if I say to you, hey, kid, what's your name? Justin. Brother Justin, you got a plan? Oh, yeah, I got a plan. I said, great, Justin, that's great. How old are you, son? 37. I got ties older than you, son. Okay, now I say, Justin, you got a plan? Yeah, I got one. Great. Show it to me, son. Well, I got it in my head. Does Justin have a plan? Or does Justin have a bunch of pretty ideas floating around his adorable head? He don't have a plan. Now, he's so dumb he doesn't know it. He thinks he's got a plan. See? He don't have a plan. You got a plan that's written. Almost always shared with folks. Particularly folks who are tough on you, who will be willing, not delighted, but willing to stick their foot in your rectum if necessary. And you know, it was said to me by a black preacher once, and it was so interesting and so true. I used to host a TV show, and he said something. He says, you know, Michael, very few people in the world wouldn't be better off without a good cussing out about once a month. Isn't that something? So I called him up 10 years later. I said, Pastor, you know, you said the most interesting thing to me 10 years ago. You said, very few people in the world wouldn't be better off without a good cussing out once a month. I said, do you still believe that? He paused for a long time on the phone. He said, maybe twice. Isn't that something? Do you have friends in your life who love you enough to cuss you out once in a while? Do you? Do you? So, obligation, commitment to their word, particularly to themselves. On the rare occasion, Wednesday at 7 o'clock in the morning didn't mean Thursday at 10:15. And listen, when people who were super successful missed their goal, their commitment, who do you think the super successful folks blamed? Who? Themselves. How's that for weird? How's that? How's that for saying, no. They didn't come into a room 15 minutes later and say, oh yeah, you know, there's a lot of traffic. There's always a lot of traffic, son. What's wrong with you? Come on, you didn't leave early enough. Now, they said, no, I'm late, it's my fault. Oh, come on, don't worry about it. There's traffic. No, you didn't hear me. I don't think you heard me real well. It's my fault. It won't happen again. See, I had a teaching moment. It's not going to happen again. It's my fault. Now, how many people do you know like that? So our super successful friends had these three qualities. And with the third O, which is the obligation, with the third O comes today's only voluntary homework assignment. So you're going to get the best kind of homework assignment right now. It's voluntary. You don't have to do it. And I'm going to give you some more good news. You ready? You ready for the voluntary homework assignment? Obligation, number 3O, comes with a voluntary homework assignment. It's voluntary. You don't have to do it. And more good news. If you decide to do it, you can do it in 10 minutes or less. You can do it in the next 24 hours. And you can do it for free. It's not bad. What's your name? Josiah. Listen to me. This you can do in the next 10 minutes. Oh, you can do it in the next 24 hours in 10 minutes or less for free. How's that? It's not bad. And it's voluntary. I got even better news. Listen to this. If you do it, I will give you a 100% money-back guarantee that this one homework assignment, just this one homework assignment, will change your life instantly, radically, it's good, and permanently. Just this one thing. Listen to me. What's your name? Are you listening? Good. If you do this one homework assignment, change your life. I'm going to give you a guarantee. 100%. You cannot lose instantly, radically, and permanently. You ready? Okay, here's what you got to do. You got to make a commitment in the next 24 hours to go home and fire your flaky friends. You got to go home in the next 24 hours and fire your flaky friends. Why is that? Why? Because nothing will interfere with your capacity to reach your fullest and highest potential, like the secondhand fumes of flakiness. Did you hear me? Do you need me to say it again? Are you sure? Nothing will interfere with your capacity to reach your fullest and highest potential, like the secondhand fumes of flakiness. That's it, guys. 3 O's. 3 O's. And I believe that later today, I'm not sure how Clay has set this up exactly, but I believe that later today, I will be gifted with the opportunity of hearing and discussing some of your questions, comments, suggestions, and alternative speeches. Particularly interested in hearing from people who have some kind of silent urge inside them to come up to me and punch me in the nose. But we have, I believe, about 10 minutes left. And in that time, I'd love to just see if we could do a couple of questions, comments, suggestions, and alternative speeches. Now, I do want to tell you one last thing. You know, writing a book, very few people in the world, many people want to write a book, very few do. But it's the most unusual experience in so many ways, but here's one way. Writing a book is like putting and ask anybody who's ever written one if this is true, and I think they'll agree. I think Clay will agree and others. Writing a book is like putting a message in a bottle and throwing it out to sea. And you're never quite sure who's going to see it, if it's going to be seen. It's an odd thing. It's a very unusual thing. And so I come to Tulsa and I meet you. Some of you I meet personally. Some I just meet in a group. But you know, I leave tomorrow, right? And it's an interesting thing. In a strange kind of way, I take you with me, don't I? Isn't that something? I take you with me in a strange kind of way, right? And I guess you, in a strange kind of way, particularly maybe if you took some notes, you take me with you. Isn't that interesting? And last night, you didn't even know who I was, and I didn't know who you were, and there was nothing on a book, and all the rest. Isn't that wacky? Kind of wacky thing, isn't it? And, you know, we meet again. Or maybe we won't. Maybe we will. But isn't that, and we certainly in today's world can stay in touch via email or phone call or any you understand how that can be today, but I take you with me, and you take me with you. That's interesting. A kind of wacky thing. Never expected it. So, let's do this. We have about 7 minutes left, and I'm going to try this out. See if you like this. We're going to do men versus women. Hold on, darling. Men versus women. So, the women get to ask the first question or comment. Now, you don't have to do a question. It can be a comment. You can either choose a question or a comment. We're going to go with women first, and then we're going to go to the guys, if they've got the guts, which I doubt they do, but they might. So, you see how it is? So, women first. Who has got a question or a comment? Question or comment? Young lady, would you please stand up and tell me your first name? Angela? Sister Angela, go. I can't come, you know, I want to, but I can't reach you. But what's your question or comment? First, is it question or comment? A question from Sister Angela. Go. Can I give you an example? By the way, yes, I can. But hold on. Yeah, will I? Yes, I will. But just raise your hand if any of you can think of how flakiness has cut off your potential in your life. Raise your hand. We can all give examples of some kind or another. Look, Angela, you got to make a decision on how you're going to live your life. You only get 168 hours a week, darling, and you get the same 168 that Oprah gets, and Barack Obama gets, and Bill Clinton gets, and Michael Jordan gets. You get the same 168 hours. Now, one of the problems with flakiness is really fucking expensive from a time point of view, isn't it? Chasing people around, trying to keep people. You like herding cats, darling? You got better things to do than herd cats? If you want to make your time count, do you think herding cats is a good way to spend it? Probably not. If you got a best friend or a good friend that you can't count on, you got to write 94 times to make sure they're going to show up. Is that a good use of your time, darling? And let me tell you something. This is important. Write it down. Every person in the super successful category had, write it down, God, a reverence for time. I'm going to tell you a secret, Angela, about me. You're going to think this is weird, dear. Ready? Listen to this. You're going to think this is weird, probably. But in my house, yes, in my house, I have a clock, a large clock, in every room. Wacky kind of thing, yeah? Now, you want to go crazier, Angela? Crazier? I've got a timer in every room. That's something? A clock and a timer. A clock and a timer in every room. Oh, come on, Michael. No, you don't. Yeah, I do, really. That's crazy. In your bathroom? Yeah. Why is that? Because I have a reverence for time. Do you? Do you? Do you? Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. By the way, if, darling, you yearn to be broke and tired, right? If you think that's a cool plan, being broke and tired, then you don't need a reverence for time. See? But if you say, no, I think I'm tired. I'm done with being broke and tired. I tried that plan. Get a reverence for time. Okay, so now the women have gone. It's 1-0. Men, question or comment? Yes, friend. What is your name? Brother Paul. How are you? Is it a question? Question? Okay, so see how it is? It's question, women, men. All right, go.
So my question to you is what I've found that the super successful people, it's really not about money. It's about accomplishments, about giving back, about sharing wealth. What's your experience with the people you've worked with respect to how they view money?
The question, can everybody hear that? How do super successful people view money? I think that super successful people, I've observed that super successful people understand that money is a currency or gasoline, right, that helps drive the car, the engine of many things. Having a car without gas is probably not ideal. I'm just saying. Having a car without gas is probably not ideal. I think I'm going to leave it right there. It's a currency. It's not the only currency, but it's a currency. You need a certain amount. By the way, you need a dedication to reality at all costs. You need a reverence for time, and you need a dedication to reality at all costs. Now, I want to do something with you, if I may, in closing, because I've really got to stop now. And we'll do it at a tie. Men, one. And then later, you know how tough the ladies are in this late game, right? So you know how that goes. Okay, but listen to me. I want to try a little game with you for just a second to see how it works. I've never met you before. Let's try it out. I want you, please, to think, if you would be kind enough, of two people in your life. Two people who are good folks, nice folks, handsome, pleasant, attractive people. But for whatever reason, these two folks, and you can go any way you want with this, gay, straight, black, white, young, old, it doesn't matter. Just pick out two that you know. And the two are good folks, they're nice folks, they're pleasant folks, but for whatever reason, these two folks are underachieving based on their potential. They're underachieving, right? They have a certain potential in life, and they're hitting about the 70% mark. Now they're not in jail. They're not on the Springer show. But they're just not, they could do so, they just, right? Now, let's close your eyes for a minute. Think of the two. Think of the two. Get them in your head. Could be related to them, could be friends, could be coworkers. Now, get them in your head. Okay, cool, you got them. I've never met them. I don't know who you're talking about. I've never met them. I want to tell you 4 things about these two folks and see how I do. Let's see how I do, okay? I'm going to tell you 4 things about these two folks. Let's see how I do. Number 1, they have a f***ed up relationship with reality. They have their own narrative about, oh no, that didn't happen, this happened. Oh no, it wasn't my fault, it was... They have a f***ed up relationship with reality. Number 2, they have a f***ed up relationship with responsibility. It's never their fault. It's always somebody else. It's men, it's sexism, it's whites, it's Hollywood, it's America, it's my... Oh, the big one? What's the big one? It's my parents. That's the biggest. My husband, my parents, my this, my kid. They have a up relationship with responsibility. Number 3, they have a up relationship with time. They're always late. They're always running behind the 8 ball. They're always jammed. How have you been, Harry? Oh, I've been jammed. I'm going. It's been nuts. I've been swamped. They always sound like their hair's on fire. Number 4, they have a relationship with communication. You call them, they never pick up their phone. They can't seem to return a phone call. Their ringer didn't work. Their battery's dead. I didn't. I meant to call you, but you understand. I've been jammed. I've been swamped. Things have been getting crazy here. I know I meant to do it, but they got a up relationship with reality, responsibility, time, and communication. How'd I do? Does that sound like a couple of your friends? Yes? Raise your hand if it sounds like a couple of your friends. Ain't that a... Anyway, it's so... Clay, thank you so much. Now, if you tell anybody that... Now, we got together today, and this is nice. Now, don't you tell people I swore like this. Now, that's not cool. I was a fine person, and I didn't swear at all. He didn't. No.
Michael, on Monday we're going to release the podcast version of the show after some editing.
Oh,
so you have now taken my Sunday from me. I'll be doing some editing.
That's something.
The clean version will be out on Monday on the podcast.
Clay is a very original guy, very unusual. You're privileged to know him in ways that you don't fully understand yet, but life will teach you over time. If you get out of your own way, over time,
earmuffs.
Life will instruct you over time about how valuable some of the things that he is attempting in an evangelical way. An evangelical is a bringer, not a religious thing, bringer of the good news. The good news is all the stuff that, we've been talking about. So, anyway, what an honor to be here with you. Thank you for the chance. Thank you, Clay. Thank you, Thrive. What a great team, They're really exceptional. Thank you so much.
Let's hear for Michael Levine. All right. Now, The rest of the show will be PG.
Thrive Nation, that right there is the mindset that it takes to become successful. If you want to become successful, I would encourage you to listen to that podcast over and over again until it becomes your new normal. When we run around this life making a bunch of excuses that we believe, we will get the sympathy of other people. And we will get the victim card and the poverty to go with it. If you want to be a victim, if you want to be offended, if you want to tell people that you just didn't have what it took to be successful, then you are right. But if you want to succeed, you have to believe that you have the tools you need until it becomes your new normal. You just have to understand the level of intensity you have to bring on a daily basis to succeed. And once you finally do get that mindset and you embrace that work ethic, you will have massive success because everybody else is going in the slow lane. But you, my friend, are going in the passing lane when you bring that kind of energy, drive, and passion to the workplace. And now, without any further ado, we like to end each and every show with a boom. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom.